Hey guys, Devlin Hessler's here, competitive bodybuilder, coach, and personal trainer over here at Gym in the North. This is my intro to bodybuilding. Okay, in today's video, we are focusing on legs. First exercise in today's leg workout is a lying leg curl. Now, the reason I have these at the beginning of my leg workouts is I do find that any of my squat variations move significantly better after I start with these. Perform the lying leg curl, make sure that you are pulled up nice and tight by the handles. You want to flex your core a little bit at the base to ensure that your hips don't rise up. And then as you're completing the contraction of the exercise, you don't want to fire out the gate with a lot of speed, otherwise it's going to be mostly on your calf. You want to try to build them hamstrings up. I'm performing about 3/4 reps here. This is to make sure I have tension on the hamstrings for the entire set. After the lying leg curls, I like to throw in a couple of sets on the leg extension to prepare me for the rest of my leg exercises. These, first set, I always hit it nice about mid-range with about 10 reps, and then I immediately go up, roughly double the weight, and hit another 5 to 10 reps on that, just to make sure the quads are warm and firing. When performing the leg extension though, you want to make sure that your knees are right at that pivot point to make sure that the torque isn't on any of the joint where it shouldn't be, as well as I want you to hold the handles down nice and tight to make sure that your body isn't lifting up and down with each rep. So for the first compound movement, what we have here is we are doing a reverse banded hack squat. Now to set up the reverse band, you put the band on these two washers on the outsides, and then you pull it around to the back, making sure that the band is not on any of the bolts. If you have the band on the bolts, you're gonna lose your banding privileges. The reason that we are using the band in the hack squat is as you get deeper, which what we call in the hole in the hack squat, is when you are at your weakest and the weight feels like it's at its heaviest. But with the reverse band, the tension on the band actually increases as you get further down in the hole, which helps match the resistance curve to your strength curve. This allows you to fire out as many reps as your body possibly can throughout the entire full range of motion without having to leave even half reps up on the table. For setup, I make sure that the foot base is set as high as it can go so that I can get as much depth as possible to still hit a lot of glutes. And then I also have the safety pin set to as low as possible to hit that full bottom depth. And then lastly, foot placement on the hack squat. I personally like to go a little bit higher and wide with my toes pointed slightly outwards. So this way I can make sure I get some good adductor growth as well. Next exercise we have for you, the hip thrust machine. You want to make sure that the foot platform is set to an incline. This is going to help take a little bit more of your quads out of the situation. Foot placement, you're going to have a relatively narrow stance. I suggest close to about hip width apart. You want to pull your heels far in, and then as you lift your hips up off the bottom pad, you want to place the hip pad in a comfortable position right around where you would bend. With these, you want to make sure, again, you're only doing about a 1/2 to a 3/4 rep. Nice and slow down. You don't need to go all the way down to the bottom, but then the thrust is as hard as you can and as high as you can go. To add a little bit of extra fire at the end, I suggest holding a 5-second count on the last 3 reps. And I apologize for that burn later. Next, we have the banded or reverse banded leg press. The bands in this situation are utilized for the same reason as you have them in the hack squat. The idea is to make it so that at the top of the rep, when you are at your strongest is when the weight feels its heaviest, and then when you're in the hole, the weight matches your strength curve. If you have a lot of strength already in your legs, I recommend setting up the band from the bottom to the top so that it gets harder as you go up with the extra band of tension. For seat height, I like to have this relatively far back, but close to about mid-range still, to make sure that I get a lot of hip flexion as well, so I can still get some glutes in this. Foot placement, I do a more of a narrow stance, around that mid-range though. I personally like to take the safety pins out of this as I like to go beyond the full rep range there. The more range you get in this, the more growth you are going to get. But only do this if you are 100% sure that you are going to be safe and that you're not going to collapse on yourself. The main reason that I really do this is we've all seen those nasty videos where people are on the leg press and their knee hyperextends. So please do not fully extend on every rep. Save your legs. To hit one more exercise on the glutes and the hamstrings, we are going to be doing a dumbbell Romanian deadlift. For the dumbbell RDL, I do like to set up with my feet relatively narrow, toes slightly pointed in, dumbbells held in front of my legs. To form this rep, I think about having my chest up high, my chin tucked in, and then I hinge at the hips, pushing my hips as far back as possible. The range of motion does end when my hips reach that far back end. Last thing I want is any of the tension going into my lower back. Again, I am performing a 3/4 rep, being that if I stand to full hip extension and I stand all the way up, there's no more tension on my hamstrings or my glutes. Again, we're trying to build muscles, so we want tension the entire set as much as possible. And to finish up the leg day, we are doing a seated calf raise. When performing the reps on the seated calf raise, you want to go nice, slow, and controlled. Good powerful contraction, but nothing too high that it bounces, but then a nice good stretch in the bottom of each one. That was the leg workout for today's intro into bodybuilding. Catch us in the next video for an upper body workout.